Earlier, President Biden talked about COVID-19 in the United States today, placing special emphasis on vaccinating the unvaccinated, calling it a pandemic of the unvaccinated, and urging everyone to get their shots. All of this happening as the CDC recommends booster shots of the Pfizer vaccine for seniors and other high-risk Americans. And with that green light, third doses will be made available for millions of Americans as soon as today. Whit Johnson has more for us now.
6 months ago.
This morning, President Biden addressing the nation about booster shots as millions more Americans are now eligible.
And I've made clear all along, the decision of which booster shot to give, when to start the shot, and who will get them is left to the scientists and the doctors. That's what happened here.
The president saying he'll be getting his booster shot, but insisting the primary goal is still to vaccinate the unvaccinated.
This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. We still have over 70 million Americans who failed to get a single shot.
After weeks of head-spinning debate, overnight the CDC director giving the green light for booster shots, but going against her own panel of advisors on a key element of who qualifies.
This motion passed 15-0.
Dr. Walensky now endorsing the panel's recommendation for a third Pfizer shot 6 months after a second dose for those 65 and older, residents of long-term care facilities, and people 18 and older at high risk with underlying medical conditions. But here's the disagreement. The panel initially voted against authorizing boosters for frontline workers like teachers, daycare staff, grocery and healthcare workers. But Dr. Walensky overruling the advisors, saying in a statement they will allow the booster for adults at high risk of disease from occupational and institutional exposures to COVID-19. Boosters will be available as soon as today at over 30,000 locations across the country, including urgent care clinics, some federally qualified health centers, and pharmacies. And remember, this only applies to the Pfizer booster shots. For those who got the Moderna or Johnson & Johnson vaccines, those people will have to wait a little bit longer as the process plays out. But the director of the CDC is promising as soon as more information becomes available, they will address those booster shots with the same sense of urgency. Kira?
All right, Whit, thanks so much. Well, I want to bring in now Chief Innovation Officer at Boston Children's Hospital and ABC News medical contributor, Dr. John Brownstein, to talk more about this. So, John, what are your key takeaways from what we heard from President Biden? I mean, clearly he was highlighting the fact that boosters have received the green light, but he seemed to be even more focused on not being distracted by that and talking about just the 70 million Americans that are still unvaccinated and that they need to get their shots.
Yeah, hi, Kira. This is very complicated messaging, right? Because on one hand, we're endorsing boosters for millions of older and vulnerable Americans, and this is really a new phase in this pandemic. It's a key pillar of the response. Continue to protect the vaccinated, and this recognition that protection wanes over time. And, CDC had complex data to analyze, and they arrived at this recommendation for that third dose for 65 plus, and those 18 to 64 with underlying conditions like diabetes and obesity. And then, of course, this frontline worker recommendation, those with increased risk of exposure in their jobs that put them at increased risk, like healthcare workers and teachers. So altogether, that's about, 20 million that are eligible today, 60 million that will be eligible, over the coming months. They can, if people are looking for those boosters, you can go to vaccines.gov and find locations near you. Now, I think your point about the flip side, which is the unvaccinated, we have to keep messaging that these vaccines are our way out of the pandemic, and that, that two-shot regime is still effective at reducing what matters, which is severe illness and death. And that's really what, the president was hyper-focused on today.
So if you qualify for the booster, you decide not to get it, are you still fully vaccinated?
I think this is such an important question. I'm glad you asked it, because this has been sort of a challenge with the communications. It's confused a lot of people. Boosters are this additional vaccine that will help increase protection, especially as we fight against Delta and try to end this pandemic. But there's a lot of anxiety around this third dose, and really healthy folks, should consider them still fully vaccinated with that 2-dose regimen, although, that third dose will be an improvement. We can define what fully vaccinated means over time, but for now, 2 doses is still the gold standard. And, people should still feel very good about the vaccinations they've had. And we don't want to risk undermining, the vaccination effort for those who have yet to get that first shot.
Dr. John Brownstein, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kira.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.